get started. So welcome everyone to this second Go-to-Market Connect Masterclass. And this is in partnership between Campanile and 365 Talent Portal. My name is Elena Baeva, and today we're covering something very fundamental. It is how to shift your messaging so it truly lands. And we know that many Microsoft partners are investing time and money and effort in their go-to-market, but too often, unfortunately, the message gets lost in translation and doesn't convert. And it's either because it's too technical or too generic or too focused on the provider rather than the buyer. So today we are going to shift that, and you'll walk away with a new fresh way of thinking about messaging, one that starts with your customer and speaks to their outcomes. So we'll break it down to practical steps, and we'll explore how to build a value proposition that speaks to what the customer gets and not what we do, as many partners normally do. And that's because the messaging that converts is never about us, and it's all about them. And that's why we put in the title here, what's in it for them? That's the core question we need to ask ourselves. What's in it for them as a prospect? And we'll focus on a very simple and effective approach that doesn't require a big marketing team or investment. It works for very small companies as well as larger organizations. So let's talk about the reality many of us face. Budgets are tighter, we know that, and attention spans are shorter. Microsoft's BizApp space is growing. There are many more partners joining this ecosystem, and with it, the noise is growing up as well. So the question becomes, how do you break through? How do you differentiate? And the right message and the right value proposition is no longer nice to have, and it's the core of how we go to market. And it affects everything from your website to LinkedIn posts and sales pitches, your email campaigns. And if that message is weak or unclear, it will impact clearly not just your marketing, but your overall business growth. Can you hear me? My camera was disabled for a second.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, and the camera, it seems to be disabled, not by me, but centrally. I don't know why. So let me try to turn it back. Okay, I'm back here now. So yeah.
And we can see the screen as well.
Okay, good. Okay, fantastic. So as I was saying, messaging drives everything. So it's kind of the content, sales, the go-to-market campaigns, and it's very, very important. And if you don't say it clearly, your competitors will, and it could impact your market share as well. So moving to the next slide. Is it moving with me as well? Just wanted to make sure I haven't lost connection.
No, it does.
Okay, fantastic. So if you didn't join the first masterclass, let me introduce myself. I'm Elena Baeva. I'm the founder of 365 Talent Portal. And I've been in this ecosystem in the Microsoft BizApps channel for over 20 years, 9 of which I work for Microsoft directly. And I want to position myself. I'm not the marketeer myself. I don't do marketing. There are probably more experienced people as marketeers on this call. I'm a businesswoman. I'm practical, and I'm sharing with you best practices of what I've seen work in the channel. And everything I'll share with you, we've done in my company. I've implemented it with my team, as well as we've implemented it with many partners we work with, including Campanile partners. And if it's executed correctly, it works every time. And I know this because we've scaled many BizApps partners around the world, and we've seen it work. And one recent example of a partner we had, they implemented everything we will discuss during this series with just 5K investment in marketing, and they built a pipeline of 500K euros in 6 months. So it works. I know it works. So I hope you leverage this and apply it. And it's very easy to execute. And as I said, you don't need a big marketing department or a huge investment behind it. So let's define what is a value proposition? And we'll look for, let's start with first what it is not. A value proposition is not about what you do, nor is about BizApp's features, product features, and functionalities. It is all about what the customer gets. It's about the outcomes. And the value proposition is your promise of the results your customer will get if they engage with you. So think of it as a bridge between what they're struggling with now and where they want to be. And that's your job, to describe that bridge in a way that makes them feel seen or heard and understood. And let's be honest, many partner messages fail because they are too generic. So they talk about, we help businesses grow. Well, so does everyone else. Or it's internal, it's about what you do. We have a strong team, we have a lot of experience. Okay, but how does that help the client? Or it's too technical, we deliver Dynamics 365 integrations. And again, so what? What is the benefit for the customer? So think about the customer's point of view and how your messaging lands in there. So again, don't repeat the mistakes many partners do. And I really want to outline, again, that one of the biggest shifts you need to make as a partner is to stop talking about what you do or what you sell, but start thinking about what the customer gets, what their outcomes and results are. And features are very important. The product is very important. The services are very important. But only once you've hooked the person to connect with you strategically, emotionally, logically, then we talk about that. And I'll give you many examples here in a second about kind of typical examples we see in a Microsoft channel of like things partners can improve. But again, the key things is that it's either product related or focused on you as a provider, or it's very generic. That's the other mistake we see. They're very generic. They're not tailored to specific niche or role or even persona. And we'll talk about all of this today and how you can avoid making these mistakes. So let's see this in action. So let's look at these examples side by side. And it's just one-liners. I mean, value propositions normally are much more detailed, but I just wanted to give you a flavor of it. So the bad ones are very common. Unfortunately, I've seen so many partner websites and pitches and LinkedIn posts that lead with that. They're focused on the provider or the product, and they lack a clear promise. So it's all about, we deploy Dynamics 365. We offer CRM integration. We implement ERP for manufacturing. We create dashboards for Power BI, etc., etc. It's all about us and what we offer. Now, the good versions are always focused on the customers. They're very clear, specific, and benefit-led. And you'll notice that they're not long or complicated. They're just kind of very well targeted. So, for example, you gain real-time visibility. Your sales team closes deals faster with no data duplication or delays. Your staff will automate daily tasks and save hours every week. You'll reduce inventory waste, etc., etc. So I hope you see the difference. So, and I want you also to reflect on your own message. Just think about your own messaging. Do you see any commonalities? And today, hopefully, you will make that shift. And if you're on the side where you're mostly product and feature focused, we'll show you how you can move more towards the outcome and customer focused. Now, I'll share with you a formula for successful value proposition, and we use this to help partners structure their thinking. And it really helps. It's very simple because it starts with a problem. So what business pains is your customer experiencing? And we're not talking about kind of what technology they're missing. It's the business pain that they're experiencing. And then following up on that is the needs. So what are the underlying needs that arise from that pain? The third element is the solution. not just generic solution and everything the solution offers, but how do you and your solution offer to address those needs, specific needs? And then the last element here in the value proposition is the value. What specific, measurable results will they experience once you provide them with a solution? And this really creates structure and clarity, and it can really help you articulate that message through various marketing channels you're using and campaigns. So it's very important to differentiate between problems, needs, solutions, and values. And we find that many partners, even experienced partners, sometimes get confused between the differences in all of them. So, and I'll give you a few examples, but the lack of ERP, for example, is not a problem. An ERP is not a need. Yes, it could be a solution, but also it's not the value. And I'm quite visual. I like to give visual examples. And in the beginning of the session, I made a reference for you about building a bridge for your customer. And your customer is on a journey. Think of them from starting from point A, where they currently are, and wanting to move to point B, and kind of in point B is their ultimate value. This is kind of where they'll achieve their desired outcomes, their business results, their KPIs. And we're talking from business perspective. And so to get from A to B, there are certain obstacles and gaps on the route. And the customer will be experiencing them. And the problems are negative. And the customer will have needs to avoid, address, or remove those problems so they can get to point B. And the needs are not the same as problems. They're typically the opposite. And I know it's very simplistic, but problems are negative. They're kind of lack of something, or inefficiency, for example, is a problem. So the needs to be the opposite side and turns around. So the opposite of inefficiency is efficiency. So the need would be, if the problem is inefficiency, the need would be for efficiency. And also some partners confuse needs with value. So efficiency in our example is not the ultimate outcome. So people don't want efficiency for the sake of it. They want efficiency because it brings certain results. So it can bring reduced costs, improved profitability, improved profit margins, better customer engagement because of efficiency. So these are the values that they'll get, and they're different from the needs, as you can see. And the other element we didn't talk about is the solution. This is our favorite thing to talk about, is our solution, us as a provider. And this is kind of the means of getting from A to B. It is the means to transport. In this kind of picture, it's the plane that gets you there. So in the same way, we can look at ERP and CRM and the Microsoft technology as the solution. But the customer that you're approaching will be experiencing business problems, business needs, and will be looking for business impact and business values that they want to achieve. And the technology is just the solution out of this puzzle. And that's why we're advising you not just to talk about features and functionalities, but use all these elements of the value proposition in order to connect with your prospects. And so just to summarize, we're starting with the customer problems, which are the obstacles between their current situations and their goals. The needs are the opposite of the problems, their business needs. The solutions is the means or the transport you use to move your customers from point A to B. And the value is your customers' nirvana, their KPIs, their desired outcomes, their ultimate results, and business outcomes, business growth. So you might say, okay, that's great in theory, but how does it work? So give me an example. And I'll give you an example with Business Central. I know Companion work with a lot of Business Central partners. So let's look at this. So if typical Business Central, Microsoft Business Central value proposition would be around this type of a problem. So they might be around manual and inefficient error-prone processes, wasting a lot of time and resources. They'll have lack of real-time visibility and insights, compliance and audit challenges, disconnected systems, etc., etc. So the leadership will not have enough insight because they don't have they have different systems, they're not integrating, they don't speak to each other, and because of all of this, there'll be poor customer experience, severe delays, and low customer retention. So kind of typical business problems that a prospect might experience. Now, the needs, on the other hand, they are the opposite of the problems. So therefore, optimized and automated processes that enable them for better decision making. They make their employees more efficient. They and will provide better experience for the customers. So you see kind of positive, so opposite of the kind of the negative problem sides. And the solution, this is the easy bit, the thing we like to talk about most. So it's AI-powered workflows, built-in analytics, financial control, scalable cloud ERP, etc., etc. And very importantly, the values, that's one of the most difficult one. It is not real-time data. It's kind of, it's no longer the needs. We're talking about the customer values. So it's the low operational cost and higher profitability. And it tells you through automation, lean processes, increased productivity, scalable growth, competitive advantage, faster customer acquisition, enhanced customer satisfaction, high employee engagement. So these are the things that really matter to businesses. And you can see kind of the value proposition speaks the language of a prospect. It's very business oriented. There is a technology element in that, but it's not all about the technology. The technology plays to kind of to the needs and brings to the values. Now, I know it's a busy slide, but we want to build on this value proposition. And if you joined us last time, we talked about the ideal customer profile. And it's very important to connect your value proposition to your desired customer profile. And last time I introduced kind of 3 elements of the ideal customer profile. So the first one, starting with the niche of kind of what industry are they in, what segment, geography, company size, etc. What role is the decision maker, what role do they have? Are they head of sales? Are they CEO, CFO? And very importantly, it's very often it's not really understood by many partners, kind of the psychology, the real why. What are the emotional drivers, the motivators, and the mindset behind this? And this is really the mastery, if you can get that as well. So we really want to adjust now the value proposition. I shared with you the generic one, specifically for the niche, specifically for the role, and for this desired ICP, so for the persona we're targeting. So let's do that. So I shared with you the generic one. Now let's start with a niche. Let's imagine we have, we're targeting, if we decide our niche would be in retail, let's customize this. And if you have marketing department and a lot of expertise, absolutely do it yourselves. If you're new to it, we now have artificial intelligence to help us do that. And I use the help of Copilot here. I asked Copilot to help me customize the generic value proposition for Business Central to be more specific for retail. And actually, it came up with a really, really good outcome because, again, you can see this really speaks the language of the retail market, and it is much more related to the pains that they're experiencing. Is no longer the generic Business Central value proposition, which if someone in retail sees, they might not relate to, might not respond to your marketing. So as you can see, so the customer problems here are inconsistent inventory levels causing stockouts or excess stock, fragmented sales channels, limited visibility into customer buying behavior and sales trends. For the needs, it's real-time inventory tracking and automated replenishment across the retail channels, united platform to manage in-store, online, and mobile sales seamlessly, actionable insight into customer preferences, etc., etc. And you can see the solution here does not talk about ERP straight away. It talks about the things that are relating to the needs. So it talks about omni-channel retail management, inventory optimization, customer insights. So these are the things that really matter to them. We know that the ERP is behind it, but you're not leading with that message straight away. And very, very importantly, the customer value. So it talks about improved inventory accuracy, reducing stock outs and overstocking, improving cash flow and customer satisfaction, unified sales experience, discover consistent services across all channels, boosting brand loyalty, etc. I'm not going to read through all of it, but you can see the difference between the generic value proposition and the value proposition that is customized for a specific niche. In our example, we're using retail. And again, you can do it yourselves or use AI, but this will change drastically the way you're engaging with your audience if you do that. And this was only the first level of the ideal customer profile. If we take it to the second level, is the level of a role, because you might have different stakeholders. You might be engaging with the CFO or the CEO or head of a division, etc. They have different problems, different needs, different solutions and values. So you can't approach a CEO talking about reporting and forecast, etc., because these are not the things that really matter to them. And if we take a CEO of a retail business, again, you can do it yourself based on your expertise or use AI again. I used the same chat with Copilot and asked it to clarify further the value proposition for Chief Operations Officer in a retail organization, specifically for Business Central. So this now is much more refined value proposition that speaks to this particular role and their needs. So a CEO, as I mentioned, is not interested in reporting and finances. Their KPIs are all around efficiency, business growth, customer satisfaction, employee retention. So the improved value proposition talks to the CEO in a much more relevant way. It's all about operational inefficiency leading to high cost and slow order fulfillment, inability to to report quicker to customer demands and market trends, inconsistent customer experiences across retail channels. So these are the problems that they're experiencing, something that a CEO really cares about. These are kind of problems they're facing on a daily basis. And the needs here, you can see, are the opposite of the problem. So streamlined operations to meet customer expectations, real-time visibility of stock levels, efficient management of stock levels and supply chains to reduce waste and improve profitability. So again, you can see this is kind of very, very specific and something that will resonate so strongly with the CEO of a retail company. The solution, again, we know it's related to Business Central. It's easy. I know you love talking about technology, but the value again here is very, very, it's key because it addresses the key values and KPIs a CEO would be looking at, which is operational excellence, so faster, leaner processes that reduces cost and improve margin, agile growth, confident expansion to new markets or channels with data-driven decisions, customer satisfaction, consistent personalized service that drives loyalty and repeats business. So again, the customer is on top of mind for them and employee productivity, as you can imagine. So you see this we're making it more and more tailored. And by you doing that, you'll have a much higher response rate from your marketing activities. And yet there's one more level. And this is what that very, very few partners in our channels do. And something we touched on last time when we were talking about the ideal customer profile is building the psychological profile of your potential customers and building a persona, an avatar. And you can use a real example, one of your ideal customers. I don't recommend using a difficult customer. You want to have someone that you'd like to attract more people like them. So in our example, I'll give you an example of Damien, who is actually one of our customers, retail CEO. I won't read through their profile. Again, you can create this with your people based on the people you've interacted with in your industry. So you can create this emotional connection to them, so you can understand their fears and hopes, and by understanding that, you can connect even more and improve your value proposition to a mastery level. And as I mentioned, we're using Damien. So he's a male CEO in a retail organization. The very important thing here for us to outline with this exercise are his fears. So fear of failure is huge for him. So he will fail if he doesn't buy a new solution, as he struggles with his current processes, but also he worries that if he buys the wrong solution from the wrong people, that would lead to professional failure for him and for the organization as well. Pride is another big emotional reason for him to buy, because he wants to be the hero of a transformation project. Control is key. He wants to be in charge of overseeing the change, but he wants to be in control, but he needs someone he can trust, and that's why trust is absolutely essential for that organization to deliver this transformation with him. And the reason we're outlining this is because with this information, we can now make the value proposition stand out even more. And I asked Copilot again to use this profile and this information to update the value proposition for Damien and for organizations and people like Damien that we want to target with. And the improved version is much more relevant. It is shorter, straight to the point, because Damien is a busy CEO. He has limited time to read through the detail. He doesn't have patience to read long marketing messaging and complex sentences. So this language reflects his hopes as well as the pains. So as you can see, you're constantly driving performance, but inefficiency and delays threaten your ability to deliver fast, visible results. You want to scale operations without compromising on quality and customer experience. You're juggling high expectation and a fast-paced environment, and you need solutions to match your ambitions. Again, for Damien, this is how Damien speaks. This is how Damien thinks. So Damien is much more likely to respond to hooks and messaging that speak this language. And you can see the whole language has changed. And I'm not going to read through this, but you can see in the value, it's about leading with confidence. No more chasing updates or firefighting. You'll have the data and tools to stay connected and in control. You'll deliver fast results, implement a solution that works from day one, no delays, no excuses. So again, we've gone a very long way from a very generic value proposition to something that is much more tailored and really, really connects to the real problems and to where people like Damien want to get to. And it's really a really good practice for you to identify certain personas you want to target within the niches, within the roles, and create these avatars that can help you adjust the value proposition so it really, really lands well with them. And because I'm visual, I said I'm visual, I want to again help you differentiate between problems, needs, solutions, and values. I like this analogy as well. Many of you might have done sales training that talk about the drill. And if you've done such a sales training, it talks about not selling the drill, but selling the holes, because people don't buy a drill because of the different speeds and functionalities and the drill. They buy a drill because they want to make a hole in the wall. But I like to take this even further. So we think about the real problem is that you might have a beautiful picture you want to hang on the wall, and that's the problem, is you can't enjoy the picture. Your need is for a hole in the wall so you can hang the picture. The drill is the solution. This is how you make the hole. And in our example, the drill is the technology behind, but the real value is you have the enjoyment of having a picture on the wall. So think about this and how this can you can apply this in your go-to-market. So we talked about the value proposition, and you might think, okay, let's bring it to life. And to make it more tangible, one good practice is to do it through a story. And it's very important because facts and kind of value proposition is great, but the real way to connect with your audience is through a story. They might not remember the facts, but for sure they will remember the story, and especially if that story resonates with them. So once you have your value proposition and it's clear, let's create the story around. So you have a customer problem, you have a solution, you are the guide, and you're taking them through a transformation. And I really like the method that Donald Miller uses. He has a process called building a story brand. And he relates this to a book story or a film story. So think about, you need to simplify it in such a way that it resonates with the customer and it becomes memorable. And as in every story, there are certain elements of a story. So there is a main character. The main character has a problem. They meet a guide who gives them a plan and a call to action that brings to success. And that kind of avoids failure. And they go from on a transformation from and to. It's a very simple formula for a story that we can apply for our examples as well. And think about, I know in technology you might think, oh my God, how can I do this in tech? But actually it's very simple, and you need to simplify it for your prospects because they haven't been probably on that journey. They might have never implemented the ERP, and you need to simplify it, because if you go with kind of a complex messaging, you will scare them away. And again, think about, let's say, because we were talking about Business Central earlier, think about your Business Central customer story. Your main character would be not you, it's always about the customer. So the main character in that story needs to be them, and they need to see themselves in your story. They have a problem, and we just talked about it. So that's part of the value proposition. And you also have the needs shared there. And then, as in the story, they meet a guide, and that guide is you and your company, and you give them a plan. And that plan is the solution and the value from the value proposition that you worked so far. And then you call them to action, and here's your offering. We'll talk about the offering next time in the next masterclass. And then, by them following up on your action, you help them avoid the pain, the emotional, logical reasons to buy, the failure, and then you help them bring success through pleasure. And you're taking them on a transformation that is taking them from the consequences of not buying all the way to transformation, positive transformation as a consequence of them buying. And because I gave you Damien as an example, let's talk about Damien. A very short story, and again, you can make it as long as you need to. But Damien is his character. He's a COO in his 40s. He is striving for recognition. Significance is crucial for them. His problems and fears are related to operational failure, leading to both personal and company-wide repercussions. So this leads to concerns about his personal reputation if the company underperforms. He also distrusts systems and providers that he doesn't fully understand, and it takes time for him to build that trust. And he wants to be, because of that, he wants to be in control over the initial process of engagement. So then he meets us, and then we are giving him kind of the confidence with a lot of knowledge and assurance and guidance that we've done this before. We show him that we understand him, he feels supported, and we give him a plan with an integrated ERP system that is kind of, it's a world-class system, referenceability with trusted provider. We give a lot of examples of success we've had in the past, and we give him a peace of mind. So our call to action, because he's cautious, we are offering him to start with a small fixed price proof of concept. That's in our example. I'm not saying you should do that. It's just because this resonates well with Damien. And that provides him with certainty on initial costs. It allows him to build the trust for the proof of concept and a better understanding of the larger engagement. And by doing that, we're helping him avoid the failure by kind of procrastinating in the long processes and doing nothing and being perceived as a weak leader. He shows that kind of he's minimizing the risks of failure by taking a cautious step forward. And kind of this ends in a success for him because we give him the empowerment and control of the process, and his personal brand, it has kind of grown significantly. So we're taking him on a transformation from uncertainty and doubt and fear of operational failure to elevated reputation and leadership, and also understanding of what he's signing himself for, so better visibility of the process ahead. So that's the story kind of we've built based on the profile we have. And you might be thinking, okay, so what's the point of the story? So how can I use it? I'm not going to market the value proposition as it is. I'm not going to kind of publish a story. We don't want you to publish the story as it is. You can use elements of the story because the first most important reason you have the story so you can emotionally connect with the customer. Your marketing team, your salespeople, they will connect more if they have that story and they understand the prospects you're targeting. Once you do them, the messaging then will flow, and that could come out in different shapes or forms. You can use it in keywords, so you can apply this and identify what would be the keywords that Damien would use when searching for a provider, and then improve your SEO on the back of that. You can improve your website. You can create landing pages for people like Damien that outline their problems, their needs, kind of the typical solutions, values, and give examples there of the work you've done. It's always good to have some proof points behind that. You can use it in social media as well. Pick certain elements of the story and emphasize on it. You can also do blog articles around it. Direct mail as well. You can create a whole series of campaigns around this. But even at events, going to events and having sales collateral there and presentations, having a story like that can structure your messaging in a much more crisp way. And you can do it yourselves with your marketeers, or you can use, again, Copilot loves context. So if you were to use AI, having value proposition and the persona and refined value proposition on the back of that with your story is very, very powerful. So we actually, in our company, we created agents for the different personas we have, and we have stories behind each of their agents. And that kind of drastically improved the output of everything we do kind of as marketing as well. So highly recommend you doing this. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's an initial investment in creating that in terms of your time and the people that will put this together, but it will definitely improve your results. And so very kind of importantly, so it's not just theory. The reason we want to help you with this is that you can implement it in the business and start seeing the impact of that. So the 4 takeaways I want to give you is start again, flip the focus. So move away from you to them. So move away from what we do and what we offer to what's in it for them. What do they get? Why is it important to them? And make the customer your hero. So it's always about them, not about you. The second thing, use the value formula, the value proposition. So problem, need, solution, value. So business problems, business needs, and business value. So very, very important, and keep it very sharp, relevant. Once you have that, customize it for your niche, for your role, ideal customer avatar. So these 3 levels that I shared with you in the pyramid, because each of them has different language, and you need to be very, very well targeted. And wrap it with the stories. So stories are sticky, they're memorable, and this is something that would really help you connect more and improve your customer engagement. So this was, as I mentioned, the second masterclass. If you missed the first one, you can hear the recording, but also there is one more webinar coming on the 26th of November. It is about the offering. So we will build on what we covered today and come up with an offering that can help you actually make it irresistible for the customer. So to become kind of so irresistible that it's a no-brainer for them to continue working with you. So I look forward to engaging you then, but we have a couple of minutes. If any of you have questions, feel free to type in the chat or unmute yourselves.
Hello. Thank you for a lovely presentation.
Thank you, Rafael. Yeah.
I have a question because you have this lovely profile of your potential customers, right? And yeah, how to create this profile, because it's pretty crucial to get it right.
Yeah. So do you mean, so you meant, so the one that I created here for Damien, so as an example?
Yes, yes, exactly.
So it's very simple. You have that presentation. So think about creating an emotional connection with them. And there are a few things. So think, I would say, think of if you have existing customers that you want to target similar customers. So think of your favorite customers. So most loyal customer that you really want to replicate, him or her. And give them a name. So in our company, everyone knows Damien. So when we're doing campaigns, everyone what Damien wants and what Damien needs, what Damien's fears are. So take a picture of them, give them a name, give a demographic background, how old they are, where do they live, how much do they earn, what's their family situation, where do they like going on holidays, and what are their hobbies, kind of what brands do they like. And all of this builds kind of on their values. So here you would say, okay, what do they like? So are they more kind of, do they like certainty? Do they like stability? Or are they kind of more risk adverse and like to be kind of leave a legacy behind, always kind of breaking the patterns? And they're very different profiles. So depending on that, the messaging could change. Are they after personal growth, or are they more about giving to others and connecting with others? And again, if it's all about them, it's about their leadership versus kind of giving to kind of community and contribution. Again, different messaging. Then build on their hopes. What are they trying to achieve, kind of both personally, professionally, and also very importantly, their fears. So you can follow this logic, and it's a very interesting and engaging exercise. My team and the partners we work with love doing this exercise, because actually at the end of it, say, well, we actually really connect with that person now, and we understand our customer better, but we can attract lots more people like that because the messaging is much more tailored to them. So, Rafael, does this explain the process?
Okay, so maybe I will rephrase my question, right? Because maybe I missed that, I didn't fully understand. So should we basically look at our current customer base and based on that create, let's say, a generic profile of our customer to use for the communication? Or when we are discussing with a customer, you should basically try to make the profile for a specific customer, a real human, right, to adjust our communication to that person, because this is I don't fully understand, right, which approach.
I'd say, so for marketing, I'd say pick your ideal customer. So like in our example, Damien, so pick like the most common one, the one you like to attract more people of, and create one profile. And by adjusting your messaging and marketing to target people like that, you're much more likely to attract people and profiles like that to respond to you. So that's for marketing. For sales, absolutely. For every sales situation, for every customer you have, you should have this anyway. So kind of for the sales efforts as well. But even for marketing, because in marketing, you don't know who you normally kind of you're going to many people, they're going to be different. But if you have ideal customer profile, many CEOs would have certain common threads, and for you to create that connection, it's good to have this type of a profile as your ideal customer profile and build the value proposition around that. So both marketing and sales.
Okay. And do you have for the sales part, do you have some tools basically to get this information? Because usually when we have a discussion with customers, we of course know who we will be discussing with. Let's say that this is a new customer, right? But we know their names, we know their emails, so there is a process to do a background check or on them. But of course, it will be fully manual because we can check Linkit, right? For example, etc. Right? Is there
No,
something
exactly.
that is
You
there
can't
something that
assume.
can do it automatically, or this is fully
You
manual?
can try AI. AI could pull information, but it's not always accurate. But yeah, it's a lot of manual work. And I'd say don't assume. You need to create that connection with them and identify those things. And again, maybe not to the same extent, kind of and details, but again, the
It
more
would
you
be
get
hard.
to know, the more
Yeah.
information. You don't want to stalk your prospects, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, if I understood you correctly, in the sales part, it's more of a process of getting to know your customer and basically adjusting your communication as your understanding of your customer grows, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And for the marketing, very importantly, pick someone that would be your ideal and build the marketing messaging around it.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the questions, Rafa. Anyone else? No? Okay, well, thank you very much. I really enjoyed the session today and I hope you found it valuable. I look forward to seeing you at the next event in November. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye.